Hi and welcome to Movies Suck. Today we're going to have a quick look at this article I saw on Screen Rant about Resident Evil. Woohoo! Love Resident Evil. At least used to love Resident Evil. Still love the computer games, even though there have been a couple of hit and misses. But this is about the movies. So, exclusive new Resident Evil movie from 47 Meters Down director in development. This is actually really good news, because anyone who's followed the Resident Evil films knows that they really are abysmal. They've drifted so far away from the actual computer game franchise that the computer game franchise is in the distance waving saying, "Over here, you're going the wrong way, come this way." But W.S. Anderson, I believe it's W.S. Anderson who made the series we're currently used to, he won't listen to reason. He really wouldn't. He just was all over the place. But let's have a bit of a read here. So, a new Resident Evil movie is in development from Johannes Roberts, the director of 47 Meters Down and its sequel, The Strangers Prey at Night. The last installment of the zombie-killing franchise, the definitively titled Resident Evil The Final Chapter, was released in January 2017. And for anyone else, I imagine they were just thinking, oh god, not again. Does he really mean the final chapter? The final chapter? Really? Do you? Do you please, Anderson? Please mean that? But who knows? Well, apparently we know. Let's read on. Despite the video game adaptations generally getting written off before they've even got anywhere, the Resident Evil saga managed to buck the trend. Although generally receiving mixed to negative reviews from critics, each installment was popular enough with audiences to turn enough of a profit that more were made. It wasn't until 15 years and 6 movies later when franchise director Paul W.S. Anderson decided to call it a day in favour of writing and directing adaptation of RPG series Monster Hunter. And just thank whichever deity you happen to choose, because Paul W.S. Anderson has just screwed up Resident Evil royally. He took a great franchise and thought, yeah, why don't we ignore all the canon, all the lore that goes into this series and just make some shit up? Let's add some random character and whatever, who cares? Let's just do whatever we feel like. And it was a disaster. If you're a Resident Evil fan out there of the games, please comment about why the movie series was bollocks. Because it really was. Nobody wants to see this, and I for one am finally glad that it is over with. But, as we said, the series is being restarted, and let's read about why I'm actually excited about this. So, the subject of the new Resident Evil movie came up when we asked Roberts directly about the director credit for the upcoming reboot at the top of his IMDb page, and what he could tell us about the current stage of production. In addition to stating that it would be a film rather than a series, he stated, "We are in active development at the moment. I pitched them a take that they really loved. So we are just gearing up on as we speak. Really, I'm in the office all the time there. So yeah, it's great. It's going to be super scary, super scary, and it's just getting back to the roots of the game. I think at the moment I'm not really allowed to say much more than that, but it's going to be a lot of fun. The key word there being back to the roots of the game. That's what I really wanted to hear. I am just so glad that someone, from the sound of it, is going to take the franchise seriously. I mean, I don't mind if he makes a few embellishments on the whole thing. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of little bits of backstory that we found out about in Resident Evil 1 that would be great to learn more about. You know, the little attacks that were happening here and there as we go through the game. It would just be awesome to have this stuff. And a proper take on the characters would be great. Because we saw nothing in those films they made. Paul W.S. Anderson just made a real hatchet job of the series. And I for one are just so glad to see the back of him. And so glad that they're not just throwing the whole series away so we're never going to see another one. But hopefully someone, this guy here, is going to actually make one that's true to Resident Evil. This is just some of the best news. Let me just finish this. In many people's minds, Resident Evil will always be an action film franchise starring Mila Jovovich. Anyone else have trouble with that name? Mila Jovovich. Jovovich. So every time I've ever read that name, I always thought, am I saying that right? I don't know. Never really paid much attention to other people saying it. But Mila Jovovich. Okay, anyway. And featuring lunatic action and absurd plots that increase with intensity with each film. However, the property started out in a much more subdued fashion in 1996 as a survival horror game for the PlayStation, and one so successful it came to codify the subgenre. Its story saw Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, both of whom were featured in the films, who were members of the police special ops team named STARS. Together they investigate a series of gruesome murders in the mountains surrounding a Midwestern city and find themselves trapped in a zombie-infested mansion. The game emphasis was on tactics and planning rather than on wading into every fight with guns blazing, as ammunition was scarce and limited. There was also a puzzle-solving element that made you think as well as fight. Which is true. The original game from 1996 was just such fun. From that first moment when you step out of that dining room and that zombie tries who was he eating? Was it I've forgotten now. But when the first moment you step out of the dining room, that zombie comes towards you, that's just so awesome. I mean, I want to go and play the game again right now. That's how good the original game was. And obviously all the puzzles and everything were just awesome. Having to solve the puzzle so you can get from one section to another section and then fight off the zombies and the other things that turn up. And finally finishing with the rocket launcher and the tyrant. It's just a great game. I would love to see this actually brought to life, unlike all the previous films which didn't bring anything like this to life. They were just miserable. I mean, I might be speaking for myself here, but I went to see the original Resident Evil film in the cinema on the opening night because me and my friends were excited about this. And I have to say, when I saw the first one, I was like, well, it's not quite Resident Evil, but it's not bad. So I was hopeful, and I thought to myself, yeah, let's give it a chance. Maybe the next one is going to get even better. And then we went to see the second one, and my heart it died a little bit. And I was just thinking, well, okay. And then I waited till the third one, and then on the third film, I thought, yeah, this is a dead series. They don't care about Resident Evil. Paul W.S. Anderson just doesn't give a shit about this franchise. And then he went on to destroy the Alien franchise with Aliens vs. Predators, which was a film that I personally had been looking forward to for a long time, and had he remade the book, would have been awesome. The first book was a great book. Alien vs. Predator Prey, I believe that was. And for some reason, Paul W.S. Anderson just doesn't give a damn about source material. He takes a title, he takes the look generally of what there was, and then makes everything else up and doesn't give a damn about any kind of lore or anything else that goes on with the series. He's just the worst director, he really is. And I'm just so glad that Resident Evil will be free of him. Anyway, let's just finish this a bit quick. So Roberts' description of getting back to the roots of the game would suggest that instead of being another hyperkinetic action movie, it will take inspiration from the initial game installments, where everything was designed to scare you and make you feel tense. Such was the emotional shredding inflicted upon young 90s players by the game, many of them refused to play it alone or at night. If Roberts can recreate and evoke that kind of primal fear in his Resident Evil, it will become a true horror, and one that may even surpass the overblown franchise in the claim of popularity. To be fair, this particular franchise could not take much to surpass. I imagine when this film comes out, unfortunately due to the state of the Resident Evil franchise right now, it may not be as popular straight away as it will become, but if he does actually stick to the original Resident Evil story, at least the fans of Resident Evil will come back to the movies, and hopefully we get a few new fans as well. I for one am really, really looking forward to this, and hopefully it won't take too long before the film comes out. Anyway, this is Movies Suck, signing out. Leave a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I will catch you again in a while with something else.
Resident Evil.